Ezra is one of the most intriguing figures in biblical history, known for his role as a priest, scribe, and reformer. He was not only a leader who helped restore the spiritual integrity of Israel, but also the author of several key books in the Old Testament, 1 and 2 Chronicles and Ezra. As a central figure in the masculine motivation channel, Ezra's life embodies resilience, courage, and devotion to God's law, all traits essential to masculinity rooted in faith and responsibility. The man behind the books. Who was Ezra? Ezra was a priest and scribe, descended from a long line of religious leaders that traced back to Aaron, the brother of Moses. This priestly lineage gave Ezra a significant role within the Jewish community, particularly during and after the Babylonian exile. Born into a period of upheaval and displacement, Ezra's legacy emerged as a unifying force for the Israelites during a time when their faith and identity were in jeopardy. Ezra is traditionally credited with authoring 1 and 2 Chronicles, which provide a detailed history of Israel from the creation of the world to the reign of King Cyrus of Persia, and the Book of Ezra, which tells the story of the return of the Jewish exiles to Jerusalem. His writings serve not only as a historical record, but as an instrument to reestablish the laws and traditions of the Jewish faith after years of exile and foreign influence. 1 and 2 Chronicles, a legacy of faithful kingship and God's promises. The books of 1 and 2 Chronicles may appear to be repetitive to modern readers because they cover much of the same history as 1 and 2 Kings, but the purpose of these books is quite distinct. Chronicles was written to remind the post-exilic community of their divine heritage and God's everlasting promises to David and his descendants. Ezra's writing emphasizes the importance of a faithful kingship, one that abides by God's law. For a masculine motivation channel, this theme resonates deeply. Leadership underpinned by integrity, discipline, and submission to divine principles. The kings that failed to uphold these virtues faced destruction, but those like David and Solomon, who pursued God's wisdom and righteousness, experienced blessing and success. Ezra masterfully uses these narratives to impart the message that a man's success is measured not by his personal conquests, but by his faithfulness to God's laws and the well-being of his people. This message is timeless and profoundly applicable for modern men seeking true leadership and fulfillment. The return of the exiles. Ezra's role in spiritual restoration. The Book of Ezra opens with the decree of King Cyrus of Persia, allowing the Jewish exiles to return to their homeland after 70 years in Babylonian captivity. This event is monumental, but the return itself presented its own challenges. While the physical restoration of Jerusalem's temple was important, Ezra understood that without spiritual renewal, the nation would falter once again. Ezra's arrival in Jerusalem marked a pivotal moment in the history of Israel. As both a scribe and priest, Ezra was not only well-versed in the Mosaic law, but was also deeply committed to teaching it. His primary mission was to restore the moral and spiritual foundation of the people. His leadership was not about political power or material wealth. Instead, it was about re-establishing the covenant relationship between God and his people. This focus on spiritual leadership, as opposed to mere outward authority, makes Ezra a model of masculine strength. A true man understands that strength comes from within, from faith, discipline, and adherence to higher principles. Ezra's reforms. Courage in the face of resistance. Upon arriving in Jerusalem, Ezra quickly realized the depth of the problem. The Israelites, including the priests, had intermarried with foreign nations, a practice that was strictly forbidden in the law of Moses. These marriages threatened the purity of Israel's faith and culture, diluting their identity and leading many to worship foreign gods. Ezra's response to this issue highlights his incredible leadership qualities. He could have chosen the path of least resistance, avoiding conflict and confrontation. Instead, Ezra faced the issue head-on, calling the people to repentance and demanding they separate from their foreign wives. This was not a popular decision, but it was a necessary one to preserve the integrity of Israel's spiritual heritage. This event underscores one of the core messages for a masculine motivation channel. The courage to confront uncomfortable truths is a mark of true leadership. Ezra's actions teach that sometimes maintaining your integrity and faith requires making tough decisions, even at the risk of alienating others. True masculinity is not about pleasing everyone, but about staying true to your values, no matter the cost. Ezra's prayer, a testament to masculine vulnerability. In the Book of Ezra, one of the most poignant moments is Ezra's heartfelt prayer of repentance on behalf of the nation. This prayer shows that despite his outward strength and leadership, Ezra was a man deeply aware of his own and his people's shortcomings. Ezra did not shy away from expressing sorrow, grief, and humility before God. In a world where masculinity is often equated with stoicism and emotional suppression, Ezra's example shows that true strength lies in vulnerability. A man who can recognize his failures, seek forgiveness, and ask for guidance is far more powerful than one who pretends to have it all figured out. This prayer is also a reminder that masculine strength is dependent on divine strength. Ezra's leadership was not rooted in his personal charisma or skills, but in his reliance on God's wisdom and guidance. For men today, this is a powerful lesson. True leadership and masculinity are not about self-reliance, but about recognizing the need for divine assistance and humility. Ezra's influence on Jewish identity and eternal legacy. Ezra's work laid the foundation for what would become Judaism as we know it today. By reintroducing the Torah and ensuring it was read aloud to the people, Ezra cemented the importance of God's law in Jewish life. This reestablishment of the Mosaic Law helped the Jewish people maintain their distinct identity in the face of foreign influences, and it's a legacy that has lasted for millennia. This brings us to one of the most profound lessons from Ezra's life, for men seeking to live with purpose. The legacy you leave is determined by how well you lead others to truth and integrity. Ezra's influence went far beyond his lifetime, because he committed himself to something greater than personal gain. He sought to restore the covenant relationship between God and his people. For a masculine motivation channel, this message couldn't be more relevant. The measure of a man's life is not his wealth, fame, or power, but the impact he leaves on others, particularly in guiding them toward truth, wisdom, and faithfulness. The masculine takeaway. Lessons from Ezra. Ezra's life offers profound lessons for men seeking to lead with integrity, faith, and courage. His leadership was rooted in faith, not force, as he guided his people back to the principles of God's law. He demonstrated the courage to confront uncomfortable truths, making tough decisions for the greater good, reminding us that true masculinity often requires boldness. Ezra valued spiritual strength over physical might, recognizing that the well-being of his nation hinged on spiritual renewal. His vulnerability and repentance showed that acknowledging faults and seeking help is a mark of strong leadership. Ultimately, Ezra's legacy is one of guiding others to truth and integrity, with his influence extending far beyond his time, proving that a man's lasting impact is measured by how well he leads others to wisdom and faithfulness. Ezra stands as an example of a man who understood the weight of responsibility that comes with leadership and faith. He lived a life of integrity, humility, and courage, all traits essential for true masculine strength. For men today, Ezra is a powerful reminder that the greatest strength comes from faithfulness to God's laws, courage in the face of adversity, and the wisdom to lead others toward truth. That's all for today's video. If you found value in this exploration of Ezra's powerful leadership and timeless lessons, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more future videos. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update, and let us know in the comments which figure you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching, and remember, leadership starts with faith.